Hello everybody, Slim Kirby here, welcome back to more Let's Play Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn. Last time we actually finished part 1, we did the endgame, and now we're moving on to part 2. Part 2 of Countries and Kings. Map commentary.
Dayan has been reborn. Word of King Peleus's coronation reaches neighboring Crimea within days. Crimea itself has spent the past 3 years rebuilding from the damage it suffered during the Mad King's War. News that Ashnard's son now sits on Dayan's throne sends waves of unease and worry rippling across the land. Alas, this is not the only thing disturbing the people of Crimea during this time. There is an ever-widening gap emerging between Crimea's noble class and the nation's young ruler, Queen Elincia. Crimea lost its king during the Dayan invasion, and Elincia is still an inexperienced ruler. What's more, her very existence was a secret from the public, and so she came unexpectedly to her succession. Many of Crimea's noble houses raised their voices in protest against her rule. Elincia's desire for a long-lasting peace has driven her to strengthen Crimea's ties with the Laguz nation of Gallia, and to renounce Crimea's claim to rule over a defeated Dayan. Her political moderation is seen as a sign of weakness among her critics. Ike, the young hero who led Crimea to victory in the Mad King's War, was granted a peerage for his heroism and bravery. The elevation of a common mercenary to the nobility, however, widened the rift between the aristocracy and the queen yet further. Perhaps to avoid becoming mired in these power struggles, Ike renounced his peerage and took his leave of the court. Yet Ike's actions did little to placate the nobility. They continued to criticize the queen's every decision and lay squarely at her feet the blame for all of Crimea's woes.
Prologue on Drifting Clouds. So yeah, Mr. Map Commentator actually did a very, very good job of explaining everything. I mean, really, he did. There's a lot less I have to actually explain now because of that guy, so thank you very much, Mr. Map Commentator. But yeah, basically, Elincia was the main, or one of the main characters of the last game. Not really main in the sense of, like, the battles and stuff, but the whole storyline kind of revolved around her, and how she was actually hidden from public view for a very long time. And it just so happened that after the kingdom of Crimea was attacked by Dayan, she actually escaped, and thanks to Ike, the guy they talked about in the map commentary section, and is also the main character of Path of Radiance, thanks to him, she actually was able to win back her lost kingdom and become the new queen. However, the citizens of Crimea are not very happy with that, so yeah, she's had to deal with a lot of struggles as ruler. All of the higher-ups of Crimea kind of want Elincia to do things in a certain way, but, you know, Elincia is still kind of new at the whole queen job, and, you know, she kind of has her own way of thinking. She doesn't think that Dayan should be persecuted quite easily, because, I mean, Peleus isn't Ashnard. We don't really know if Peleus is going to launch a war against Crimea, so I think she was fine in, you know, recognizing Peleus as the king, but, you know, it's understandable why the people are acting this way. Sorry, I was kind of reading that, but yeah, yeah, it's quite understandable why people are acting this way, because, I mean, the whole entire storyline of the last game was taking down Dayan for what they did to Crimea, and now that they were taken down, and now that they're in power again, it's only natural that they should be scared. But yeah, Elincia is kind of unsure of what to do right now. And here's a character from Path of Radiance. It's Marsha! She's talking about her brother, who is another character from Path of Radiance, but we'll talk about him later. And yeah, Marsha kind of just said what I said earlier, so I probably didn't need to explain that in too much detail either, but you know, I like to be thorough when I talk about stuff and when I'm doing my own commentary. But there's actually something going on in the clouds. Uh-oh. Okay, so it looks like we have to save these two. Okay, so these guys are actually admitting that even though they're part of Binyan, they're straying on purpose for their own gain, I guess. Okay, so it looks like we're going to take out these Draconites. And we're thrown right in the middle of the battle. No base or anything like that. So first of all, we have 4 units here, and I should probably go over all of them. First we have Elincia. Elincia is a queen, which actually acts like a 3rd promotion tier, so Elincia can't actually promote, but she is really, really powerful. She is a Pegasus unit, so she is very weak against arrows, so keep her away from arrows at all costs. And not only can she use swords, but she can actually use staves as well, which makes her a good fighting and healing unit as well. And I have to admit, Elincia is actually, in my opinion, one of the best units in the game. But I'll talk about why she is later on. I'm not going to worry about it at this moment. She has a skill called Renewal, which restores 10% of total HP each turn. And she also has the ability Stun, which is actually given to Pegasus Knights and Dragon Knights once they get their highest class. And it can inflict 3 times normal damage and paralyze enemy for 1 turn. So she's a very good unit. Maybe not really right now, but later on she'll definitely be an amazing unit, just in my opinion. And her stats are pretty good too, considering. So yeah, I definitely recommend using Elincia for long term. At least when she can actually gain level ups. And whenever you can use her, for that matter. Next we have Marsha. She is a Falcon Knight, the second class of a Pegasus Knight. Falcon Knights can use swords and lances. She doesn't have a special skill. And as a unit, she's okay. She's definitely not the best flying unit, and her availability is kind of weird. But she can be a good unit. I have used her before, and she has turned out great. So, she is definitely good. You have to kind of focus HP on her a little bit more, though, if you want to actually get her to her higher classes. But otherwise, she is a good unit. Maybe not as good as Elincia, but still pretty good. Next, we have Nia Luchini. Nia Luchini was actually in Path of Radiance, but not as an actual character or fighter. He just, appeared in a few dialogue segments. He is a Raven Lagoose, and he is pretty powerful whenever he's transformed, and he can help you out quite a bit, so definitely make use of him in these parts if you actually need him. He has a skill called Wrath, which actually Edward had that skill, so it's not really that much new or anything. But it raises the critical hit percentage by 50 when the unit has less than 30% of its total HP left. So yeah, Nia Luchini's a pretty good Lagoose unit. Not the best, but he is, he's good. And finally we have Leanne, another Heron unit. The only differences between her and Raphael is obviously she's at a much lower level. She's definitely the lowest leveled of the Aaron units. And her Galdrar actually works a little bit differently. Instead of healing all the units around her, she can only heal the units that are adjacent to her horizontally or vertically, not both, just one or the other. And it works that way for both her untransformed phase and her transformed phase. So, okay, I think I explained everybody. Let's actually get fighting now. Basically what we have to do for this chapter is just survive for 8 turns. So we could essentially just, go up here and stay up here if we really wanted to. But, that's kind of boring, so we're not going to do that. We're going to, do things the way they're supposed to be done. So let's get ready to fight. Round 1, fight! And as usual, we'll watch a few of these cutscenes or these animations, because we haven't seen a few of these yet. And wow, he actually hit me with 18%. He got very, very lucky. In this battle, Elincia is not going to gain very much experience at all, so do not expect her to. That's just the way it is. And yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and do this. It will do some damage to Marsha, but I can just use a Galdrar on her and Elincia when I get finished with this. And wow, that was a 54% chance, and that missed, while an 18% actually hit earlier. Which is kind of weird, I have to admit. It's quite weird, I have to say. Okay, and yeah, I should be okay. I'll just go ahead and do this just in case, if I can find a better way to defend Leanne. Because one of the ways you can lose this chapter is if the enemy units actually take Leanne and, they're basically going to capture her, and equivalent to rescuing her or whatever, and try to leave the map with her. And if they leave the map, it's a mission fail. They won't actually attack Leanne, though. which is a good thing, because if they attacked Leanne, obviously, like, Leanne would die in, like, one shot, so... Thankfully, you don't have to worry about that. Fortunately, though, I can't exactly... Well, yeah, I can. I can just use Marsha. And this actually works out well if this guy hits Marsha. Because then I... Oh, nope, nope. She dodged again. Alright. Doing some good dodging, Marsha. Marsha, Marsha, Marsha. I had to make that joke. Oh, jeez. I didn't really even watch the Brady Bunch. I just made that joke for no reason. Okay, I'll go ahead and keep the Slim Sword. Elincia should be fine. That would have actually been pretty funny if that guy hit, because that guy had a 41% chance of hitting. And we all know how I feel about that number. And yeah, I'll probably turn off the animations for the next turn. Also, let me check. I want to see if Leanne has any unique skills. I don't think she does. No, she just has the normal skills that all Herons have. Let's see. I could kill you. Actually, let me do this first. Basically, what I like to do for this chapter is I like to give the experience to only 2 units. There's only 2 units I try to give experience to in this chapter. Marsha is one of them because she can actually gain experience. And the second one actually hasn't arrived yet. But we'll be talking about that when the character actually arrives. And yeah, as I said, we're going to turn off the animations in the next turn, so don't worry about that. They'll be gone eventually. Thankfully, we don't have to worry about archers in this map, because that would be very, very sucky if we did.